It's Marc from Fluent Finance Abroad, and I'm here again today with another interview series. Today, I'm very, very lucky indeed to have the owner of High Homes Marbella, Mr. Kian Benanni. Hi, Kian.
Marc, thank you for having me. It's great to be on your channel.
Thank you very much for agreeing to come on our channel. I've been on yours, so it's only fair for us to invite you in and find out about you. Now, one of the things that I've noticed about your business, about your channel, is that you do a lot of social and you do YouTube, but I've never seen a video about you. So why don't we start off and tell us about Kian, but also tell us about High Homes and your business.
Okay, so I'll start with who I am. I'm Kian Benanni. I was born in Spain, so I am Spanish. However, I come from a sort of very multicultural background. My mom is English, my dad is Spanish Moroccan. So, first thing I always get is, with very strong British accent, people think I might be British or living in Spain, but born and raised in Spain. Been here my entire life. And studied here and started working in real estate at a very young age. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
At what age did you start in real estate?
So I started working when I was a young teenager. So I was at school, and my first job was when I was 13, 14. Making some money on the side. I was interested in getting to work early. I entered real estate when I was 18. That was when I first made my first jump into residential rentals.
Okay, was that for an external company, or was that part of something that was part of your family?
It wasn't a plan. So like my journey or my plan at that moment when I was a teenager was to become a doctor, right? So I did everything I needed to do to become a doctor. So I studied my British A levels, took all the steps that my school at that time told me. And unfortunately, very, very long story short, there was a few aptitude tests which I was not able to take, and I was not advised I had to take. Right. So when I went to apply to university to get into this university and study medicine, there was a 1-year delay. So it was fine for me to go the next year, but at that moment my parents were going through a huge financial crisis. It'd been so hard for them to get me through those 2 years of A levels, and I just said, you know what? Let's just take 1 year off, right? We've always got the reapplication next year, and let's get to work. Let's make some extra money before we make that jump and leave to the UK to study medicine for 4 years. And then I, made my first step into real estate, and I started very simple. I started doing rentals, and that was it. There was no looking back.
And what year was that roughly?
I was 18, I did maths here. This was more or less in 2025 minus 14, or 2012, more or less.
Okay, all right.
Is that right? 2011, more or less. Yeah, let me just get that right. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna get a calculator out live because I'm terrible at live calculator. 2025.
I should be good at maths.
32 minus, what is that now? 18 minus 82. So 14 years ago. Okay, so for 2025 minus 14, 2011.
So
2010, 2011. That's the year I started in real estate. Yeah.
Okay, so 2011.
Yeah.
So just when the crash was
just after. Like I started in real estate, and I remember, a year later I was in sales. And we were selling off all the bank stock. Like, everything was left from 2008 crisis. It was a very different market to what it is today, where, there was all that toxic stock that was left from, the Sareb and all these, El Banco Malo. And we were selling, the distressed properties from the bank repos, like people, it was a very different market. At that time there was a strong demand, but not as strong as today. And developers would give discounts. The banks were selling like crazy. We sold properties for peanuts. It was such a different like panorama.
I remember that obviously because I went through the financial crash, and banks became the biggest real estate holders in the whole of Spain, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they repossessed pretty much. I don't know their full stats, but it felt like they were repossessing half of Spain at the time. And so you got involved, and you were involved in clearing that bankrupt stock.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, the thing is, my first move into real estate. So I started in rentals, and within a year, I got given the opportunity to join a very high sort of luxury real estate agency in Porto Banús, very big brand. And I was 18, 19 years old. I was super young, right? And that's when I started, let's say, my sales career. And that was that time where I was helping buyers navigate the market at that time, and it was full of bank stock. So we would basically, show clients around these developments that were owned by the bank, and there would be 80 apartments just standing there, and the bank would be, dying to get rid of them. Stressed.
What were the prices like back then?
I'll give you an example. At Costa Flamingos, which is a very popular development that was sold back then by a master broker that we used to work with, a 2-bed, 2-bath, 260 grand in Los Flamingos. That was possible back then. That was
260K.
Yeah.
And what would that be worth today?
560 any day of the week.
So it's doubled.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So tell us a little bit about your personal situation. So family, how old are you now?
I'm 32.
32?
I'm 32.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I'm actually quite happy about is I started in real estate at a very young age, right? And the past like 12 years of experience or 14 years of experience have taught me so much about the industry, and I'm at the perfect age to now keep on executing. Do you know that? Does that make sense? Like, and I'm very happy about that. Like, it's all the years of learning is now putting all that experience into practice. I feel like, I'm at my prime moment in life to keep on building career and the business and all these things.
So you're 32.
32.
So you spent the last 10 years getting to know this business.
100%.
You're quite young, if you don't mind me asking.
In real estate terms, yeah.
You are quite young in terms of real estate. I'm 51, just so that everyone knows.
You don't look 51, Marc. You look a lot younger.
Thank you. So when did the idea of high homes actually, because obviously you gave up being a doctor, you thought...
No, that was it. Like after 1 year, like no way. Like
no way
going back. I rentals and into residential sales, and this whole world opened up to, where this agency in Marbella, the one I worked for, it really opened my eyes to the opportunity and the potential that Marbella really had. And it showed me luxury real estate. It showed me, I discovered Benavís, I discovered Estepona, I discovered the Golden Triangle. And I also discovered the massive market that exists for the non-residents that buy property in Spain, either for, to relocate or to invest or buy holiday homes. It was like this boom moment, right? I remember we used to work at this office, which is Frontline in Porto Banús, 200 square meter office, right? All my colleagues were, in their 40s, right? And I was the young kid in that office, and I did look a lot older than my age at that time, so that was a big advantage for me. And I remember just taking all these incoming requests, and all these people used to walk into the office, and touring them, showing properties, helping buyers navigate the Golden Triangle, and I thought, my God, so much more can be done here. That there's just so much potential. It was a real early sort of real estate panorama, very different to what it is today.
Yeah. So when did the idea to say, okay, well, let's forget that, and you moved into the top end Puerto Banús market? Yeah. When did you think, well, why not? Let's do this myself.
That was when I was 20. So like 2 years later, it was really sort of. It was when I was 20 years old. It was my wife and I, Lara. We decided to make the step, make the jump. We started high homes in my son's bedroom. It was home office, and I took all my learnings from those 2 years at that agency, and I decided to put it all into practice in my own way, helping international clients. We had a few collaborations externally with some companies in Belgium, companies in Holland, companies in the Middle East. And it was just sort of, I was the main agent. Lara did sort of the admin work, and that's how we sort of learned, sale by sale, sale by sale. We kept on reinvesting everything into the business, and that's something true to even what we do today. Like, we're very aggressive reinvesting into the business, and that's really the start of High Homes. We really started helping buyers, then we transitioned into an agency that did buyer and vendor business. And we were very focused on the resale markets of, Benavís, Estepona, Marbella. And I say there's been 3 versions to High Homes.
Okay.
It's High Homes today is not the High Homes from 3 years ago. The High Homes from 3 years ago is not the High Homes from 8 years ago. It's like High Homes version 1, High Homes version 2, and High Homes version 3. It's like, you know, in my times, I used to watch Pokemon, right? It's like, you know, Pokemon evolution, right? Yeah, like the first Pokemon, and there's like evolutions to the second Pokemon. Now we're like in Pokemon, you know, version 3. And again, with the same mentality, you know, working hard, reinvesting, and growing the way we think we want to grow. So it's a very interesting moment for us at High Homes.
So what was, can I ask you then, so, about a bit more detail on the transition? So High Homes was there in 2019, just before
COVID,
pandemic.
Yep.
And now, so what was the business like then? What's it like now? Where, you know, what were you focused on then, and what are you focused on now?
Okay, so before 2019, High Homes was an agency that did a lot of resale business and some new construction. COVID was like a massive change for High Homes, and there's been a few, let's say, landmarks that have defined the business. One landmark is COVID. COVID threw us into this, you know, panic, right? You know, it was March 2020, everything closed down. At that time, we were a team of maybe 6, 7 people. You know, how are we going to make ends meet? You know, no one was buying property, and it was shut down for months and months. And that's when we made the move of betting everything on video, right? And that was the first big change for us. So we started, you know, communicating with clients through video calls, and we realized that, okay, you know, if we can't meet face to face, if we, you know, need to adopt a new way of doing business, it's going to be video. So we bet everything on video at that moment, and that's when the High Homes YouTube channel actually was born. Right. We started with you know, development videos, and started exposing sort of, or showing rather, you know, what was for sale at that time, and showing the High Homes character, the High Homes personality on the channel. And in terms of what we sold and what we were focusing on, it was mainly new construction, because it was the perfect product at that time in terms of inventory. So you know, it's end of 2020, beginning of 21. It was a very good year for most agencies, beginning of 21, and new development offered the best value for the buyer at that time, and also offered the best inventory options. So if you jump into a resale market, it's quite difficult to find somebody that ticks all the boxes for a buyer, for any consumer. But in the new construction market, you know, now it's slightly different. But if you jump into any given development, you have the ability at that time to choose a property that, you know, fits your feature, has the features you want, on the orientation, all the views. So it was a mix of pricing, opportunity, and inventory of 2020.
And payment structure.
And payment structure, yeah.
Because obviously COVID's going through. You don't know how is that going to work out, but you'd assume that in 2 years' time everything will be fine. So you could get into a purchase with a 2-year build thing and feel fairly comfortable that it's going to be, COVID's going to finish. So maybe that did that help with regards to
massively. I mean, people were not, you know, you jump into the resale market and you find the property you love. You need to like, 100% straight away.
But if you can't even come and visit it,
yeah,
and if it needs a reform, you can't get builders to come and do it up, then off-plan was the right thing.
Off-plan was a quite, you know, a very comfortable way of buying properties for, it still is today, but it's a very comfortable way of buying properties for people which, you know, needs more flexibility or are looking for something that might not exist in the resale market.
There's a lot of positives about off-plan because the construction is obviously new, it's more environmentally friendly, supposedly, you know, new building materials and stuff. So you were a resale company mainly, then you went into, you pivoted into more off-plan. Obviously COVID now is finished, so where are you today?
Today, we still sell a lot of new construction property. I would say that 85% of everything we do at High Homes is new construction, either finished new construction or off-plan construction or under construction new build, if that makes sense. And then 10 to 15% of what we sell is resale property. We're growing our resale department, and we've got some great talent on the team at the moment. And looking into 2026, we'll be sort of growing everything that's got to do with our sort of resale portfolio. So, you know, to be able to offer clients, you know, both resale properties and new construction properties.
So this isn't something new, to you. You've done resale before.
It's our history. It's like it's our backbone. You know, the thing is that it slowed down for us in 2019 to 2022, 23 because we were focused on the new construction. Right now, the reality is we get so many listing opportunities through buyers that bought through us in the last few years. So the resale properties we have at High Homes are high quality new builds, and that's a massive differentiating factor from other agencies. So like, you know, a lot of what we sell comes back to us, and that's what we're offering. So we want to keep on growing our. I think we've nailed our buyer experience, right? I think we have at least, and now it's polishing off what we left from 2019 in our resale business and nailing that vendor experience as well. And that's what a lot of my focus is on at the moment, to, let's say, bring that up to the level we want to bring it at.
You made an interesting point there, so about the buyer experience. So you want to make sure that the buyer has a great experience so that they can come back to you when they want to sell.
100%.
That's quite difficult to do.
Well, I mean, you need to be client obsessed, and that's exactly what we are at High Homes. And actually, it's a funny thing. We just finished our 10-year planning, right? And sort of very ambitious long-term planning. Myself, Matt, business partner, and Lara, and we've got a sort of real solid focus on where we want to take the business. And one of the steps we need to take, right, in organizing all our thoughts of, you know, where the business is heading, was to come up with our mission statement, right? Okay. And client obsession is one of the most important pillars of High Homes. We want to make sure that our buyers, you know, feel like they're taken care of from the initial moment, from inquiry all the way through to, you know, discovery, all the way through to viewings, you know, after reservation, negotiation, handover, after handover, you know, they feel like they're helped the entire way. The service from the beginning all the way through to the end, it needs to be excellent, and that's something I put both myself and Matt and my wife Lara as partners. We put all the time and effort we need to in making sure that customer experience is just perfect.
I spoke to one of your clients the other day, and they're coming up to completion, and they mentioned something to me which I found interesting. I want to ask you about. They said that you guys were organizing a snagging visit. I know what a snagging visit is, but I don't know. And they were really impressed with what you were going to do. So tell us about what is that?
So something that can happen in real estate, and it's a shame, is that especially in the new construction market, you get a client to sign a private purchase contract, and then because completions are very long, the relationship between the buyer and the vet and the agent can, you know, fizzle out, right? Or you lose contact.
It does a lot.
We check in with our clients every other month, and every other month, you know, it depends how long is left until the property is handed over. But we check in with them constantly, you know, send them updates of the property. You know, when we're around, we'll send them videos of, you know, what the development's looking like. Something we did when we started selling new construction, something I did myself, right, because I've got also some technical background, is taking care of the snaggings, because there's nothing more, I'd say, what's the word? It's not daunting, but it can be a bit stressful for a buyer to have an experience in Spain to enter a new construction property and give a list to the developer of what needs to be done. So as you know, as a rule, and as it happens to all of our clients that buy at High Homes, we offer them complimentary snaggings. And this is not just someone that goes and does a snagging list. We actually hire a technical architect. It's an outsourced company which we pay for, and it's not a cheap service, you know, to go in with our clients and to spend 2 hours in the property if need be, and go through absolutely every single item of the apartment, of the villa, of the townhouse, and make a, you know, comprehensive list of everything that needs to happen, and give that list to the developer. So even at the end of the cycle, once the clients get the keys, they're helped by a High Homes professional or High Homes, you know, sort of.
And you pay for that?
We pay for that. Yeah, we pay for that. Yeah, and it's not it's complimentary to anyone that buys with High Homes a new construction property.
And you're paying for an expert to go around who's used to deal with Spanish developers, to draw up a list of things that the developer has to do, because we get involved. We do a lot of off-plan stuff. What you mentioned there, that some agents kind of sort of fizzle out the relationship, and we end up, you know, going on this journey with the client over the 18 months or the 2 years. And a lot of clients, we feel, get abandoned at the end. The agents had their commission and stuff, and it's down to the client then to deal with the developer about all these imperfections.
There's one thing that my father taught me when I was a very young boy, and it's something I carry out through today, and it's something that is sort of embodied by High Homes, is like, business is not about doing, one big piece of business with one person once. Business is about doing continuous business with the same person for a very long period of time. So, people that, might shy out on a cost because it is a cost just because we want to save costs and, maybe have a bit more profit at the end of the year. Our mentality is no, client obsession. Let's make sure that our client gets the best service possible, even if it costs us more, because what we want is we want this client to, first of all, have the best experience possible. And then after that, do more business with us and continue the journey with us, because it's a journey. Living in Spain, buying in Spain, selling in Spain, renting in Spain. We have a full sort of property management service at High Homes as well. We want to make sure that you get the best service possible, right? And it doesn't have to be, when clients buy with us, they don't have to rent their property through us, right? But we want to give them that option, right? You can stay within the High Homes ecosystem, and we'll take care of everything.
That's amazing. What I get from you and what I get from the whole High Homes team is energy.
Energy is the word.
Yeah, and dynamic is another word. I didn't know you were 32, and I get that dynamicness of High Homes. That's probably not even a word. Is probably from the energy that you have, and the freshness that you bring to this. Would that be right? And is that the same with?
Yeah, I think like what's really important is all the way from the top to the bottom, right? So starting with myself, with Matt, with Lara, like from let's say management, all the way through to every single corner of the business. Like, we don't have an organization. We have pretty much a quite flat organization. It's not it's not a very big hierarchical organization, if you like. But something which is really important for us is that every single team member is handpicked. We're looking for people that have the same sort of values. We call it Rockstar energy, people which are hardworking, people which are career focused, people who have the right values, career sort of focus. We put all those people in a room, right, with real opportunities, working hard, and that's how you get that flow. If you meet any High Homes, we call our team Rockstars. If you meet any High Homes Rockstar on the street, they have that Rockstar energy, and it's quite different to what you normally see in the market, right? When you see other agencies, it's maybe a bit turned down. Like, we're very energetic, and all the way from the top, all the way down to the bottom. Every single member of the team has it, and that's something quite special, I think.
One thing, again, that you say client focused, and I want to confirm, I want to make this public, we collaborate, but there's no commercial agreement between High Homes and Fluent Finance Abroad. We don't pay commissions to you for any referrals. I think that's really important. And that just backs up what you're saying about your client focus, that it's all about the client, that the client gets the best service, the best help, whether it be you get a commission or not. Now, for us, you don't. And I think that when you talk about transparency, 100%. And being 100% behind the client. I think that's really important for people to know, that you will recommend other companies, but you will recommend the best ones that you feel are going to do the job, right?
100%, Mark. Like, for us, it's very simple. Client obsession means if the client wins, you win. That's the only possible outcome. Like, client wins, you win. Like, there's no way of a High Homes team member winning if the client wins, you win. It's as simple as that. And in terms of transparency, our approach is very much the following. We treat all of our clients, as they should be treated. And if there's something that needs to be said, it's said. We can beep it out later, but there's a Dutch way of doing it. My wife's Dutch, and it's very Dutch to go, you put all the shit on the table, and you go, that's the shit, let's talk about it. And that's very much the approach. It's like there's nothing that's held back. Also with our clients, like if you look at our YouTube channel, for example, our approach is very much, this is the reality. Like it or not, this is the reality. Let's talk about it, right? And that's something as well, which is, it's very much part of High Homes, like brutal honesty, transparency, and then obviously paired with client focus. Client wins, we win, end of story.
I recommend that you see the YouTube channel, because you do talk about stuff which a lot of agents don't talk about. For example, the cost of buying and selling.
Yeah.
That was one video that I thought was very enlightening, and people need to know that there is a cost to sell. You did a like for like. If I bought for 500,000 and I sold for 500,000, what do the numbers look like? And I think your YouTube channel is very educational.
Totally. Sorry, you go.
For those who are thinking about investing in Spain, what do you think the profile today is of your clients? What kind of clients are you getting, and why are they buying? Why are they choosing Spain, Costa del Sol, rather than somewhere else in the world? What is it?
I think Costa del Sol is just such a unique place in the world, and I refer to it as a prime European hotspot, and that's not going to change anymore. You know, maybe back in 2011 when I started, it was, you know, less known internationally, right? The last few years, I've put so much spotlight on Costa del Sol. We get, you know, people from all over the world that decide to relocate here, you know, live part-time, and it's what everyone already knows. No, it's the weather and the lifestyle, and the incredible sort of community that's being created in Costa del Sol. Costa del Sol from today is just not the Costa del Sol from a few years ago.
No.
Business quality and just everything, the environment. If you're a young family and want to relocate to a place where you can really enjoy a healthy outdoor lifestyle, you know, with a, you know, reasonable sort of cost of living, I don't think there's any other place in Europe which is as good as this.
No, we're sitting in nearly Christmas. It's in November now, and you know, we've got a wonderful, wonderful day. You're in short sleeves.
I know, I'm here. It's my uniform lately.
And obviously Spain has its own attractions, doesn't it? The people and everything else. But we covered that in many. But let's get back to you. You mentioned your wife, Lara. Tell us a little bit about the family man and what you do privately.
So something actually which is just a very interesting fact is me and my wife Lara have been together since we're 12 years old. There you go. You get interesting facts about Kian today. So we were neighbors, right? So we met when we were 12 years old, and everything started young with us. You know, like my wife's a professional surfer.
Right.
She surfed through the entire world. You know, Indonesia, Thailand. She used to be a surf instructor, a surf champion, and we've been together since we were really young. We started everything very young. We started the business young. We had kids young. We got two beautiful little boys. And we're very family focused. You know, we enjoy the Costa del Sol lifestyle like everyone else does. You know, we enjoy the mountains, we enjoy the sea, we enjoy, you know, we love that our kids can have this quality of life. We're privileged to live in this location with such amazing lifestyle, right?
No, we certainly are. And how old are your kids, if you don't mind me?
8 and 6.
8
and 6.
and 6. Two boys like me. I've got two boys.
Yeah.
You're much younger than I am, so yeah, you've got a lot more energy. So what do you do on your downtime? You know.
So we live in East Marbella, so we love to spend time in our sort of suburb. I think Elviria, I've always said it publicly, Elviria is the best area to live on the Costa del Sol. Costa del Sol has so many different lovely areas, but for me, it's Elviria because I grew up in that area, right? So we enjoy everything Elviria has to offer. We enjoy that lovely suburban lifestyle. We enjoy the greenery. For example, we live very close to the mountains, and we're constantly sort of, you know, walking the dog and exploring the mountains with the kids, doing sort of fun things with the kids, going to the beach, enjoying our lovely restaurants, enjoying events. We do sort of everything that Elviria offers, and we love it.
And your family, I didn't know, but your family has a connection to magic. So go on, tell us a bit about that.
My wife's father, my wife's father is Dutch, famous presentator Hans Kazan.
Right.
And Hans Kazan is sort of prime TV in the 90s. He hosted The Price is Right in Holland, and he's also the most famous magic magician in Holland. So that's our connection to magic. And funny enough, Lara's brothers are also illusionists. They're called Magic Unlimited. They performed all over the world. They performed with David Copperfield in Las Vegas, China, you know, Beijing, you name it. And when I met Lara originally, her father showed me magic, right? So I used to spend hours reading his books. And as a teenager, I actually used to do table magic at restaurants to make some income. So we used to do birthday parties, you know, at 14 I used to do birthday parties for kids. We used to do table magic at on the Golden Mile of Marbella. It was a fun time.
That's insane because my wife's brother, my brother-in-law, he's a professional magician as well. So he's going to be watching this, and he's going to probably want to say, want to get some.
But if he should, I'm sure he'll know Magic Unlimited, Hans Kazan. But that's the names. Those are the names.
That's amazing. So, okay, so heading back to some of the videos that you've done in terms about property investment, how do you see it? And what are at the moment, and what sort of things do you think clients should be thinking about, like in terms of hedging against inflation or investment returns?
So Something that's not talked about enough is, I mean, in real estate, if you enter any real estate market, right? Real estate agents will always talk about appreciation, right? Appreciation, buy this development, early stages, it's 25% below market price. This is what your return on investment is. I think that inflation is such an important part of the property transaction in general, but it's also important to talk about exit costs. And that's the one thing that in real estate generally is not talked about enough, right? So people just talk about, costs going in, and we've had this conversation a few times. People don't talk about the costs going out. That's another thing that we try to bring to our channel is, sort of showing the audience the exact sort of situation as it is. We have a very famous phrase on the channel, which we keep on saying, is if you buy a property for 500,000 euros today, and you sell that same property for 500,000 euros tomorrow, congratulations, you've lost 100,000 euros.
Yeah.
That's a striking statement. But for a buyer that comes to market first time, if you don't know about exit costs, that's the reality. So there's different things to keep in mind, right? Like, timeline, why are you buying? Understanding sales costs at the beginning of the cycle. So understanding what you're going to be confronted with down the line is essential in order to make the right investment. So yeah, I mean, when you're buying, you should be also asking what the exit costs are. That's what we always sort of cover in the channel.
And we do that a lot here at Fluent Finance. We're not trying to sell an apartment. We're trying to make the numbers make sense. So we would compliment you guys, or we would have that conversation. So has anyone explained to you about the buying costs and everything else? Are you factoring in this? Again, people will ask our independent opinions because they know we're not selling anything, we're advising, and they say, so do you think this is a good investment? We would go into the long grass as to, why are you actually doing this? What are you trying to get out of it? Some people will say, I'm just literally looking for an investment. I'm not going to use the property. And then we need to go in to say, okay, have you really run the numbers? Because, if you're not going to get any lifestyle benefits out of it, you're going to have to hold it for how long do you think a property should be held for?
Well, it depends. It depends how you bought it and what your goals are. If your goal is to sell it within 5-6 years, there's so many variables that come into play, right? But something you touched on right now, which is essential to refer to, and people don't talk about it enough as well, is inflation. So it's the silent killer. And I think for you guys in finance, it's at this moment an inflationary market Europe's going through right now, where inflation's on average, 3-4% yearly in some countries.
Yeah.
It's the perfect way to hedge against it, no? So like you have two forces in real estate, right? You have inflation rampaging through Europe, right? You have your money losing value every single year. So I always say like money's having like a piece of ice, right? It's just melting and sort of melting away. So you got property value going down, and then property prices by default defending against inflation and going up. So it's like two forces going in opposite direction. Understanding that inflation is going to be something that inevitably is going to sort of continue to happen for the next 5-10 years. We all know that. Cumulatively, let's say in practical terms, that inflation in Spain, for example, is 2.5% for the next 10 years. Cumulatively, I don't know what the calculation is, let's say 20%, 22%. That means that money value is going to drop by 22%.
Yeah.
So perfect moment for you guys. We've already chatted a few times, like perfect moment for people which are looking to buy a property for a long timeline. If you're looking to buy a property for like 10, 20 years, you're buying a holiday home that you're going to keep for 15 years, you might as well look to get a mortgage, get some finance, because within 10 years, your repayments and your debt is sort of going to shrink thanks to inflation.
Exactly.
I think it's the smartest thing to do. Even buyers that come to market, investors that come to market with us, that are not really thinking about using finance because they've got this thing about debt, and we've always been told that debt is a bad thing, right? But I think debt, well used and well leveraged, is actually a very good tool to hedge against inflation, because at the end of the day, your debt is losing value too.
Exactly.
So why not sort of leverage your cash and enter into as many investments as possible, or enter into one investment and use less cash and let the bank's money devaluate, not yours.
For you, yeah.
Exactly.
It's very true. But again, when you're entering into a property investment in Spain, probably more so than maybe in the UK, I believe you've got to be looking at medium to long term. So medium is 5 years, long term is like 10 year plus.
Yeah.
The people that I've worked with, I've been in the business 20 years. A lot of them now are on their third purchase. it's incredible, and they've done consistently well over the years. But they've always bought with some kind of element of finance, just so they can buy the house that they really, really want to aspire to, but B, they don't use up all the cash. But they also know that if the interest rates are good and they can fix their payment, then the actual debt is not only because it's capital repayment is all going down, but the monthly cost is actually still going down over the course of 5 years. €1,000 today is not the same as €1,000 in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time. So yeah, we're here to support each other. You're focused on the property element and getting out there and getting interest, and we're here to support people in terms of finding the finance.
And it works really well because clients of ours that come to market, they want to understand their financing options. The feedback from our clients that been in touch with you guys is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's always nice, back to the client win, we win mentality. We know that our clients are in the best possible hands with you guys and get given all sort of the fan of options that exist in terms of finance. Especially for clients which are abroad, you're not here, that don't really know how Spain works. It's a great service you guys do here, and we'll continue promoting, what you guys do and in the benefit of our clients and our buyers.
Well, I really appreciate that. I mean, you guys are specialists at this. We are only specialists on Spanish mortgages. We don't do anything else. We stay in our lane. I think you can only really call yourself an expert if you've been in something a long time and you've made a lot of mistakes in a very narrow field. Well, we can't be any more narrow than we just do mortgages. Yeah. And we're not here to step on your toes or on lawyers' toes or anything. We're just here to support as best we can to make sure the clients make the right investment decisions as they go. I'm nearly done, but what final bit of advice would you give to anyone looking at this video on the fence to sort of say, hey, look, it's okay, go for it? What advice would you give, or what pointers would you?
That's a good question. It really depends on the end goal of the client, but the market in Costa del Sol is still moving. Next year is going to be 2026 is going to be a good year. It's going to be stable in my view. With inflation the way it is, with good finance rates in your case, clients that are buying with mortgages. I'm sure most of the people watching this are people which are interested in financing up to a certain extent. Yeah. Make a move sooner rather than later is what I'd advise. I think like speed, speed is essential in real estate. Obviously, when all your ducks are in a row. So make sure that everything's sort of set up and you know what you want to buy and where you want to buy and sort of what the goal is. Execute. Hesitation is the worst enemy to your real estate goals. You need to move forward with power and with strength when you've got everything figured out. Obviously, don't move forward until you got everything figured out, but the moment you got everything figured out, pull the trigger. Execution is super important, and do not hesitate once you know what you're going after.
I find that it's true. People, if they are really, really into it, they will do it, and they will regret that they didn't do it earlier. So the people that bought in 2018 probably regret they didn't do it in 2012, 2013. The people that did it last year probably regret they didn't do it.
If you want, I'll just sort of mention something which I think is really important, is we live in a very complex, geopolitical world, right? Where most of our European governments and, US government is plagued with debt, unpayable debt, because I don't know how they're going to pay it, right? Yeah. This debt, the only way they can, make sure that this debt appears smaller than what it is to benefit the continued increase of inflation. So we know that inflation is going to continue. We know that property prices are always going to consistently hedge against inflation. It always has and always will do. And that's sort of the perfect panorama, perfect explanation to anyone that's looking to buy in the next 5 years. You can pretty much very confidently say that in the next 5 years, your money is going to be worth this much less, and most probably property prices are going to be this much more. Again, the two forces in opposite direction. So if you got all your ducks in a row, make a move without hesitation, because if you know that that's the most foreseeable outcome, waiting is not really going to give you any advantage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and also we're not saying do all your investments into Spanish property, but if you can, at least diversify something into a Spanish property. Not only is it a pretty good investment in terms of long-term hedging against inflation and maybe beating it, but also you get to spend time in a wonderful place.
100%.
And the return on investment on your lifestyle, you can't really put a number on that, can you?
100% agreed, Mark.
Perfect. Have I missed anything?
I think so. Whatever you think, man. I'm cool. You want to cover anything else?
No, I'm happy with that. All I want to say is thank you very much for Kian for coming in and explaining all your history. It's been absolutely fascinating. I love the magic bit. So it's Kian Benanni from High Homes Real Estate in Costa del Sol. We'll put in the link below, the contact details, a website, a YouTube channel. Reach out to these guys because they really are the rock stars of Spanish real estate here. Take care. See you soon. Bye.